This is one of the real jewels of the river. This is 826 acres of intact habitat near the confluence of the rivers. It's a mosaic of habitat types. Really this incredible remnant that somehow avoided development. Historically, this is what you'd find along most of the river. But today, a lot of it's been lost. And in fact, today, the cottonwood habitat on West Hayden Island represents 4% of all the intact cottonwood habitat between River Mile 12 and the Bonneville Dam, more than 100 miles of river. This is one of those big anchor sites that we need to protect in order to keep this system functional. Also because of the fragmentation. One of the things that makes this place so special is that it is intact. It has interior habitat. So a lot of species that are in decline today because we don't have these kinds of interior forest patches. An incredibly controversial site for the past couple of decades. The Port of Portland has been trying to develop it, turn it into marine terminals. And so what the port is proposing to do is build 300 acres of marine terminals. 300 acres, to give people a sense of how big that is, it's about 250 city blocks. It's a giant, giant area. They would fill the island, raise it up out of the floodplain, put an elevated railroad track around the edges, and cover it over with cement. Most developers, if they wanted to develop a place like this, would be required by local law to do something called balance, cut, and fill. That means that if you destroy the floodplains, if you fill the floodplains, you have to create floodplains elsewhere nearby. Fortunately, Metro and the City of Portland have exempted the Port of Portland from that requirement. The logic is this is going to damage such a large area that it would be so expensive to mitigate for that we should let them off the hook altogether. That's backwards. If you're a small developer, you got to restore and mitigate the floodplain. If you're a big developer, we're going to let you off the hook. I would argue that if this is so expensive that it's prohibitively expensive to do the right thing, then we probably shouldn't develop it at all. Unfortunately, that's not where the city is headed. And so what the Port of Portland is proposing over here will compete directly with what the Port of Vancouver is doing over there. It perpetuates the kind of inefficient, competitive port development that we've seen for decades. What we want to see is the ports along the Columbia River work together to get absolute maximum use of their existing land base and not go to green fields and incredibly valuable natural areas for their development needs. We think that's good for the environment, good for the community, and good for the economy. All this habitat along our starboard side would intentionally be removed and converted to parking lots.